And we have Kyle Kelli.
Hello, hello.
This is a rock band program associated with We Love Guitar Nerds, associated with Drum Journey. There's all kinds of stuff I have going in. So, Kyle Kelli, you've been a drummer, you've been a drum tech, you've been
Yes,
a, you've been a man in music all your life, pretty much.
man child. I
Man
like to,
child. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
you're not quite a man yet. You're a man
No, no,
child.
yeah.
You're not joyless.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Young at
So,
heart.
huh?
Young at heart.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry
So
about the
how
little gray hairs. That doesn't matter.
I don't, it doesn't happen to me.
That problem. Not up top anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
right. So, how you doing now? What's going on now?
Well, just like everybody else, just dealing with this whole pandemic thing, trying to be responsible, stay
Mm-hmm.
healthy, you know, um, just trying to do my part.
Oh, you know what? We did forget something.
What? Thought we were gonna do that at the end.
I was just practicing.
Okay.
All right.
They get that.
So, we
Snap
how
part two.
many times? How many times do we have? Do we have a secret handshake or a little?
Right. That's
Anyway.
right.
All right. So how'd you get your start in music in general? Like, what is your?
I
Take me back to your childhood.
yeah. I grew up in a little town called Circleville, which is I'm in Columbus now. Circleville's south of Columbus. I
Mm-hmm.
26, 27 miles.
Okay.
Um, and just around music really pretty much growing up. My dad sings, played piano.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents, my grandpa was a great banjo player. So
Mm-hmm.
there was always music. My mom sang, and you know, so there was
Mm-hmm.
there was music. I was surrounded by it. My cousins still have a band.
Yeah.
They play country,
Okay.
like Johnny Cash and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
real,
yeah.
you know. And I've played with them.
Was Circleville a big country community?
No, it's what I tell you. Circleville is known for their annual pumpkin show,
All right.
the Pumpkin Festival. Everything pumpkin. It's held every mid October, except it's been going on for like 100, I think, 12 years.
Okay.
But this past year was the only time they had to cancel it due to the obvious.
Yeah.
You know? So, but they have pumpkin ice cream, pumpkin pizza, pumpkin taffy, anything
Mhm.
pumpkin. So,
Yeah, yeah.
don't like pumpkin. There's.
Then stay away.
That's right.
Yeah,
But I love pumpkin stuff. So.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, it reminds you of fall, and
Absolutely.
I like fall. I like that's you live in Ohio. I live in Pennsylvania. One thing I like about where we live is we feel we have seasons.
Oh, absolutely. When I lived out west, that's something that I missed.
Yeah, seasons are
Well,
good.
Southern California weather, but you know, I always look at your winter time. Well, spring's coming. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
glass is always half full. Remember that.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, yep. Okay, so then you get started with drumming. How old were you when you got started with drumming?
Well, I was, always tapping around in the kitchen and on the table, and parents were like, "Oh man, well, this we know where this is headed."
Mm-hmm.
I think at my seventh or eighth birthday or whatever, you get one of those little inexpensive drum sets out of the catalog that have paper heads,
Mm-hmm.
and that lasted all of a month or whatever, and then I pulled a Keith Moon on it, and it was done.
All right.
So
I mean, you threw it out the window and
no, 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 just playing too hard. Put the
you blew it up with explosives.
Now see, had I known about the no,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I got there was a pawn shop that's no longer here now in Columbus called Uncle Sam's
Mm-hmm.
that had anything and everything. And my dad got me a red sparkle Slingerland kit when I think I must have been 12, 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
little 4-piece, little Ringo kit. And, you know, and the first record, we're really going here, that I remember.
Oh, Headbangers in Leather.
And this is the original,
All right.
right? And
Yeah.
24 electrifying performances. As a heavy metal, but yet the first band is the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
Allman Brothers and Black Sabbath. So, you know.
And I remember Sammy Hagar had a track on that album that was the least heavy metal thing on it.
Yeah, you know, the Faces, Eagles, the Doors. And then, you know, this was, you know, like I said, was growing up in Circleville. And for my grandparents, which I spent a lot of time at, across the street, I was, I don't know, 9. And across the street, there was this older kid. He was 16. His name was David. He was a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I'd go over and hang out because I thought I was cool, and was hanging out in his bedroom. He had a blue sparkle drum kit. It was an old, I think it was an old Ludwig kit.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, one day he called me. He goes, "Kyle, come over. I got something that you have to check out." Oh, okay. Got an older friend, grandma. I'm going across the street. Well, go up in his room, and he's sitting on his kit, and what's on his bed?
Oh.
But that.
Yeah.
And, you know, 9-year-old kid, I lost my mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. And then he showed me the beat to Rock and Roll All Night.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I can kind of do this. This, you know, all right. And he let me borrow the record. And funny enough, this is his record. He never got it back.
He's not getting it back anytime soon.
So, you know, I played that thing. I'm surprised it still plays, you know.
Yeah.
The little booklet that came with it and everything. And that's what
So your first influences were Peter Criss?
Peter Criss.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a similar background in that I started out on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But my album, like You're Alive, was my Alive too.
Yeah.
Detroit Rock City and Shock Me, and I wanted to be Ace Frehley when I was 9 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we were weirdos, I bet, but it was like
yeah, but you know, it's
that's the way to be.
Look what it's done to us.
Yeah, as a Peter Criss, he was a lot different than a lot of drummers at the time. He had a different vibe going on.
Yeah, it was like he had this swing stuff,
Yeah,
almost on the verge of like jazzy type, but it was so cool because it just, I mean, with the songs that they wrote, it just did this. It just married perfectly, you know.
Gene Krupa, there's elements of Gene Krupa, there's elements of Motown, elements of R&B, there are elements of Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
And Ringo. But he wasn't as heavy into the Bonham camp.
Right. Right.
So he was more Gene Krupa than Bonham.
At that point, I didn't even hear of Led Zeppelin. Like I said, when I was growing up, the two bands that I really honed in on and just loved were Kiss, and then, you know, a couple years later, I was turned on to Rush on their All the World's a Stage album.
Yeah.
And, you know, just.
Did you ever take lessons as a kid?
As a kid, no. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be blessed with a good ear, so I could, you know, kind of self-taught. And then my neighbor across the street, David Hapney was his name, and he kind of gave me the very basics. So, but later on, you know, I did.
Yeah, as an adult.
Yeah.
Same here. So all right, now, when did you first start playing with people?
High school.
Okay.
You know, 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And the first band, well, like here in the Columbus area, Columbus music scene, like you talked to Ricky and Merv.
Yeah.
And Mike, well, is where I met Mike really, was at the Alrosa Villa.
Yeah.
And I grew up sneaking in the back door there at 16
Uh-huh.
years old.
Yeah.
And I got caught so many times doing that. I would go through the back door and then just make my way right up to the front desk, and the
What are some
lady.
of the great shows you remember from that?
Ooh, well, right there. Brother, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I used to have that on record somewhere.
They were, I mean, not only did I befriend them, because I was, what, 18, 19 at the time when they really started hitting,
Mm-hmm.
mid 80s, just fresh out of high school. And they were just everything to me at that time. I mean, they had the cool look, they had the stage show, they had really good songs, and a lot of girls went to their shows.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, what could be better, right?
Yeah, right.
And like I said, I befriended them. In fact, I bought and still own Randy, their drummer, his old gong.
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
think I paid him. I gave him like $50 or $60 for it.
Okay.
And no name brand, but it sounded great. And it
Yeah.
was like, to me, it was a piece of, wow, this is something that's been all over the country. This is a piece of rock and roll memorabilia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
So,
How big was it?
I think it's like a 32-inch. It's a good size gong.
Okay. Yeah, whenever I think of gong, I think of Peter Criss and that thing that he had that was a.
See, yeah, that mindset comes in.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I think he's one of the only people that had a gong in his drum set.
John Bonham did as
Oh,
well.
oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
And then Neil Peart did
Okay.
at one time.
Yeah, they were all influenced by Peter Criss.
In some form.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Ringo.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's not a stretch because Rush opened up for Kiss many, many, many times.
Yeah.
That's how they
Here in
got their
Columbus,
start.
actually, at a place called the Newport Music Hall, which was in the 70s called the Agora.
Okay.
And there's an Agora ballroom up north in Cleveland as well.
Mm-hmm. So Columbus had an Agora ballroom. That was where would Kiss play there? Is that what you're saying?
At Kiss, Rush, Queen, AC/DC played there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So what were your early bands? What were they called? What kind of stuff did you do?
The first band that I was ever in was a band called Alistair.
Okay.
From Aleister Crowley. Okay, and
course.
this was like the week Shout at the Devil came out.
All right.
And the reason I bring that up is, I mean, we played a handful of shows and it was all covers. But when Joey was on, he mentioned that he played a show at Walnut Ridge High School with Rick Soga. And we played before them at that very show.
All right.
So there's video of it somewhere.
Joey said he's gonna as soon as he's gonna share it with me. So
well, we're probably on that same tape. So
yeah. I will share it with you. I'm sure he's gonna give it to me. I'm sure he's gonna give it to me first.
Yeah. So of course I'm gonna call him here at 4 and go, hey Joey.
You know what? Don't F Rod. No, I'm just kidding. So you were in that same was it a
like a battle of the bands type.
All right.
Well, not really a battle of the bands. It was like a showcase thing. It was
a talent show
thing. Yeah, and we had a ball.
Yeah.
Had a blast.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what the hell we were doing.
Doesn't matter. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did the girls scream?
Well, yeah.
What did you play?
Huh?
What kind of stuff did you play?
We did, from what I can remember, we did I think we did the Quiet Riot.
Okay, come on, feel the noise.
Metal Health.
Oh, Mental Health.
We did Metal Health, and I think we did maybe Rock and Roll All Night.
All right.
We did 2 or 3 songs.
Okay.
Oh, we did Hot Rockin' by Judas Priest.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah, we did 2 or 3
So
tunes.
back in the day, I always thought that every song that had rock in the title was a great song.
Absolutely.
We Rock by Dio.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo by Rick Derringer.
Right. Yeah. That attitude.
You're right. So Alistair, I won't even say you opened up for the Soga.
It was well. There was I think a total of 3 or 4 bands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we played right before Joey and Rick,
Mm-hmm.
and we looked up to them, man,
Yeah.
because Joey, he had God-given talent from the get-go. I mean, did you ever see Sweet Savage?
I did. This is authentic.
Oh,
I got this at Swizzles in say 1985, 86.
well then he
Yeah.
just
I thought they were like the real, like. Now I'm not saying they're not the real. In other words, they made a huge impression. We're talking about it 35 years later.
oh yeah
Yeah.
yeah they
Yeah, they were in New York. They came to York. We thought they were. Mistakenly thought they were from L.A. And
right.
I thought that for years and years and years and years.
Yeah, 'cause
Until
they fit
our
right in.
mutual friend Mike Geezy tells me, "Oh no, they're from Columbus area,
Well, I mean
via
the
Texas."
Chris and Lane and Joey, yeah, we're from Athens.
Yeah, yeah, and
They
Chris.
got Andy when they went out to Texas.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Thing missing with them was a record deal.
yeah,
They'd have been huge,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. They were completely entertaining.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
but they had
like-
the elements. They had the entire package. As
Yeah.
they say.
Yep. So they had the Joey doing the. I say this with complete respect. The David Lee Roth mold, like I'm going to entertain you,
Oh yeah, and he
and
did,
you're not going to take your eyes off me.
and still does. You know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he writes all the time.
Yeah.
He's got a catalog a
Mhm.
mile long.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't sound like one thing.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
write one kind of song. It's
It
all over
varies.
the place, which
It
is cool.
varies. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Sweet Savage, Alrosa.
Yeah.
Did you ever? And you played Alrosa.
Absolutely. And,
Okay.
and the band that followed, because Alistair kind of turned into a band called Cheater. And then that changed into a band called Rocks.
Okay.
And that was like a mainstay band for me for, I don't know, 3 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a really cool singer by the name of Tim Johnson, who, we'd go on stage and, he had that, because we were playing around the same time that Sweet Savage was doing their thing here and all over the country. So that was kind of our go-to, thing to look at.
Yeah, look up
Like,
there.
like unlike Joey, Timmy, our singer, you walk out on stage and the whole audience was right in the palm of his hand,
Yeah.
like that.
It's a lost art.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was all like kind of like just rock and roll.
Yeah, it was rock stuff. We did, tried our best to write some originals, and we did a few scattered covers, and
Okay.
but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And the guitar player and I had dark hair, and in one of our promos, we did the Motley thing, where my guitar player and I wore white tuxedos, and then Tim and Jeff, our bass player, had bleach blonde hair, so they wore black tuxedos. And so, you know,
You know Shannon Larkin?
I don't, not personally, but I know who you,
Yeah, back in the day, he used to have a drum set that half of it was white, half of it was black, and right down the middle, he would have
sort
black,
of,
jet
yes.
black,
Yeah,
bleach
yeah,
blonde.
yeah. Pretty
So
cool.
he was like 16 years old. It's like his parents just, we're not stopping you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So so after rocks, where do we go? What was your
Well, after that ran its course. Um, uh, we formed. Was in a band, and this was probably '88.
okay?
Got in a band called Gable's End,
Okay.
and it was a very trippy Zeppelin-y type thing. It was
Okay.
a lot of fun though, and I've been lucky enough to work with really good singers. And
Yeah.
the singer in that band was a gentleman by the name of Barry Gibson,
Okay.
and from West Virginia area.
Hmm.
And it was just, we did some recording and stuff, and only played a handful of shows because he had such stage fright. And yeah, and it was a thing. Come to find out, uh, I think it was a self-confidence thing for him.
Okay.
I mean, you'd get him on stage or whatever, and he'd start singing and he was fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know,
He's a
and
wonderful
then,
singer, though.
oh, great singer,
Was he?
absolutely.
What was he like as a front man?
But he didn't move around a lot, but picture, if you will, he had a slight David Lee Roth look to him,
Uh,
but sounded like Robert Plant.
okay.
It
Okay.
was very unique and very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, and then in spring of '89, uh, I had an aunt who lived in Burbank, California, and she was like, well, why don't you come out and visit? And went out and visited, and I had cousins out there as well,
Yeah.
and fell in love with the place, and thought, you know what, I'm gonna move to LA and take my drums and be a star.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Well,
and once again
just going for the fence.
just had a blast, man.
Yeah.
Was in a couple of really cool bands, one being Cry Tough.
All right. Which we
And
have we have to discuss the
discussed that a
lineage.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
And they
All the world is lineage.
yeah,
Yeah.
TUFF,
Mm-hmm.
and they were from the Tampa, Florida area. And the guitar player and singer, I'm still very good friends with both,
Mm-hmm.
moved out there and were on the hunt for a bass player and a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So I answered an ad, and I had a little rehearsal room in a rented little office building that they came to, and it was this little cramped room. It could barely fit my drums and myself and a bottle of water in the room,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they came in, and they're, the singer,
Mm-hmm.
long blonde hair, and he, crossed his arms, and he goes, "Okay, play." And so at that time, I had a double bass kit, and I was into Tommy Aldridge, so I was doing all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so we did some recording and did a bunch of shows, and we got offered.
Who was the singer?
His name was Cody Lee.
Okay.
Not his real name.
Okay.
Uh,
That was his Johnny Bravo name.
Yeah, Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Poindexter, actually.
Was his real name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Cody Lee works.
Yeah. More rock stars.
Yeah.
So we got offered a little crappy deal with this record company called Statue Records.
Okay.
And we were in the meeting, and he didn't want anything to do with it. And we were looking at him like, this could be a little stepping stone. We're going to get to record and maybe go do some shows, or who knows what could happen. And he just didn't want anything to do with it. And then everybody got mad at him, and it
It,
fell
all,
apart.
it just imploded.
Yeah, and it was just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now he's back in Florida, cut all his hair off, and isn't singing.
30 years later.
Yeah, but the guitar player, Dave Perry, is in Florida and still writing and playing, and he's singing now.
Okay.
Just so talented.
Yeah.
He puts out little videos and
So
stuff.
these are people. Are you still in touch with Cody?
Every now and then, but Dave and I have remained close.
Okay. Okay.
That's cool.
Okay.
And then after let's see, let me back up a little bit. Yeah, I had was in Cry Tough, and then, there was an earthquake in LA in 94, and a bad one. And everybody a lot of people bailed, moved back home, including me.
Mm-hmm.
And came back here for a year or so and did some playing. And then a buddy of mine who moved out of LA and moved to Vegas called and goes, "Hey, why don't you come to Vegas and visit?" And I thought, okay. So it followed suit.
Similar path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up in Vegas, but I was in Vegas, God, probably close to 10 years.
Okay.
And was in a couple of bands out there. Was in a very cool band called Angel Park.
Okay.
And the band is still together now after it went through a bunch of incarnations, obviously with a different drummer, but they changed the name to the Jeff Carlson Band.
Okay.
And he's on RFL Records, and I think they just had a release come out, or they're getting ready to have it come out, but he's really good. You should check it out. The Jeff Carlson Band.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rock and roll stuff,
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, 4P.
How was Las Vegas as a scene?
There was a lot of tribute bands.
Okay.
We were one of the few original bands that were out there. But because when I first moved out there, it was right when the Hard Rock opened.
Okay.
And so I immediately went and applied, and I got a job there doing stagehand work and lighting. And I was
Is that where you got your
house drum tech?
Is that where you got your start in stagehand?
Yes.
That's where it was in Las Vegas.
It was.
Okay. Tell us that story. How did you was like pivoting?
Well, let's backtrack just a little bit. When I moved back in 94 from LA, they were opening an amphitheater here called Polaris Amphitheater. And I went and applied because I was back from LA and I had a couple of jobs, and I'm like, if I'm going to be here for a little bit, I want to do something. And it was getting to be spring, summer season.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the amphitheater and applied, and they said, "Well, what do you want to apply for?" And they had everything to check off, and it said stagehand. And I was like, okay, stagehand. So boom. So I got a call a week later. The boss said, "Okay, well, the parking lot isn't done. It was all mud and gravel and just a mess." And he goes, "But we're having our I think it was the second or third show. Excuse me, my first show." He goes, "Be here, at 8 a.m. on," I think it was a Thursday. I'm like, okay. And I get there not knowing what the hell to expect. And there was a whole line of trucks because the back loading dock, it was a great setup because from the loading dock to the stage was 10, 15 feet tops.
Mm-hmm.
So you just rolled stuff off trucks right onto the stage.
Yeah.
And, I got there and everything, and it comes to find out it was Metallica.
That was your first gig?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh my God, dude. So I was like, no, it
So
couldn't
we
have been.
talked about Lars. That was your first gig.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been, James Taylor or,
Or,
the Doobie Brothers. It was
yes.
Metallica. So it
Yeah.
was it was overwhelming to say the least.
Yeah.
But it was
That
fun.
that is rock star stuff.
Hmm.
So so then that was why you were still in Columbus.
Correct. Before I moved to Vegas.
Okay, and then
And
you.
then I moved to Vegas, and then I thought, well, I can do the stagehand thing. I've, got that down. And yeah, applied at the Hard Rock. And my boss, turns out, was Angelo Acuri,
Okay.
who did engineering on uh, the Black Sabbath records with Ronnie Dio.
Okay.
And then, he did engineering for, uh, Holy Diver, and,
Okay. Were those
those.
albums important to you as a kid?
Honestly, no, because like I said, when I was growing up, man, it was Kiss, Rush, and then Sweet Savage when I get into high school.
Yeah.
And then I discovered this fantastic album that I still absolutely adore to this day.
Uh huh.
There's not a bad song on this record.
Right. Bunny.
Yeah, well, now, true.
Now it's
However,
Dax.
now Dax, yeah, who I've met a few times. Great guy, great drummer.
Yeah.
And because we've they have done some shows with not only Skynyrd but with Bret Michaels
Okay.
solo. So we crossed paths several times.
Yeah.
Just they're they can't put on a bad show.
Yeah. Yeah. So your Kiss, Rush, and Cheap Trick. That was your biggie. You never went through a Zeppelin phase or John Bonham phase.
Later on,
Okay.
in life, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but
So you're in Las Vegas.
yeah, I was in
And
Vegas.
you're in Vegas, and then you go back to a stagehand,
Mhm.
thinking stagehand. So, well, how did you get into this this field of drum tech?
Well,
Is what you later became known as.
right. So what I did was I had cards made up, right? And with whatever band came in, I would buddy up with the drum tech and go, hey, I've never tech before, but I'm a drummer, and I can tune. I know how to put things together and whatever. If you know anybody or whatever, or if you ever need a stand-in, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
Just kept handing out cards and cards, and and then eventually I met uh, a guy by the name of Edsel, and he was putting together a band, which
Oh, I know where this is headed.
came to the band Dope.
Yeah.
And you know he wanted me to, and it was an industrial thing, and I wasn't into that. I just,
Uh,
I mean, mad respect for it, because some of those bands did
yeah.
very well. This wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So he was like,
Is he?
well,
He's got a kind of an Iggy Pop kind of thing going on.
God, I never thought about that. Kinda.
I never really saw. I seem to remember all they
Oh,
have.
they were very popular.
Yeah.
So they were going out on the road, and he goes, hey man, do you want to come out with us and tech for our drummer? And I'm like, yeah, pack my bag. And so I did that for a year or
Hmm.
so. And then it just snowballed, man. I got back home and I had applied. Not only was I working part-time
Hmm.
due to being on the road when I got home at the Hard Rock, but I went and applied at the MGM Grand and started working in their audiovisual department as an AV tech. And a couple of buddies of mine, one being Jeff Carlson,
Hmm.
we all had real long hair, and they said, look, that lasted for 3 or 4 months. And the boss came to us and goes, look guys, if you want to continue working here, you guys are going to have to go get haircuts. I mean, So we were all kind of looked at each other and we were like, well, the money's good. And, it's 110 degrees half the time out here. Hair grows, hell with it. Let's go get it cut. And for me, and I sent my dad my ponytail and he was like, you did what? And, the ponytail was like this long. Mm-hmm. And, as soon as it got cut, it was liberating. It was like, oh, wow. Stop.
I went through the same thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like,
I know. I had hair halfway down my back.
Yeah. And it's just, it's still not super short, but it's not, long enough. Just because you cut your hair doesn't mean you forget how to play drums or you forget how to play guitar.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Anyway, then after I was working at the MGM for a while, a guy who I had worked with at the Hard Rock called, and he was a drum tech. And he said, hey, I can't go do this gig. It's really cool. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, what's it entail? Well, there was a band called Iced Earth, who I consider to be the American Iron Maiden.
All right.
And, if you've seen Blabbermouth or whatever, their main guitar player got himself into a little situation.
Which we'll not talk about.
Right, yeah.
Jackass.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But everybody's responsible for themselves. Come on. I mean, don't have to, I don't agree with it either, but whatever. He was good to me. So the opening bands were Children of Bodom, Finnish band, and then a band called Evergrey. And I was to tech for both of them. And I'm like, teching for two bands, how the hell am I going to do that? Because no, they're using the same kit. You just have to switch out cymbals, pedals, and a snare drum. And I'm like, so I got double the pay, double the per diem. And I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Yeah. So the first show, they flew me to Cleveland. The first show was in Cleveland. And I had a blast. And the drummer at the time for Iced Earth was a guy named Richard Christie, who I befriended. And he now is a writer for Howard Stern.
Okay.
And their singer was another Ohio guy, Ripper Owens.
Oh, who went to Judas Priest.
Exactly.
One that replaced Rob Halford.
Right. So after that tour, John from Iced Earth called, and he goes, Kyle, Richard's leaving the band and we're getting another drummer and he doesn't have a tech. And
Richard Christie.
Yeah.
Was he on the Eddie Trunk show?
Yeah.
Was he the drummer that would wear a diaper when he went to a show? He is a
great drummer, great guy.
Oh, he's fun.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah. Anybody who's like, I love this music so much, I'm gonna wear a diaper so I can.
So he doesn't have to leave. Yeah,
So just
do your deal and do your deal and still enjoy it. Still run.
Yes. Here is a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, it's an easy question. Okay. So you're a drum tech, and you have all the drums. It's like, now everybody, if those of you who are not drummers, understand this, that drums are very particular to the person that is playing it, and if the angles and the stuff,
very personalized instrument.
It is very personalized. Is there a scientific way that they have you angle the drums, or does the drummer come in and fine tune?
Well, yeah, but especially with something like that. Well, with every drummer that I worked with, in fact, the drummer that I teched for when I went over to Iced Earth was a guy named Bobby Jarzombek, who now he used to play with Riot.
Oh yeah.
And he now plays with Sebastian Bach's solo band. And yeah, you know, he would come in and, you know, get everything set the way he wanted it, and heights of cymbal stands and everything, and positioning of angles of toms and snare. And you just, you know, there's these things that, you know, on drum stands called memory locks.
Okay.
And on what I used to use were automotive hose clamps.
All right.
Because they were silver and you couldn't really see them on cymbal stands, and they worked great. They would never, you know, nothing moved. So,
Okay.
you know,
So that is the science of it.
yes,
The memory lock technology.
Everything's pretty much the same, if not the same.
Yeah.
Consistently, show after show.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that was my introduction to, because they rehearsed for a week in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So my aunt still was living out there, so I stayed with her, and, you know, they got me a rental car, and I went and saw all my old friends and everything, and while we were rehearsing, and then, you know, we went out and did a US tour, and then that was my introduction to overseas big festivals, mm-hmm. like Sweden Rock and Hellfest and Donington, and
mm-hmm.
I mean,
what is the Wacken? Do you know what that is? Is that a Swedish thing? The Wacken Festival?
Wacken Festival.
Yeah.
That
is huge.
Oh, dude. And it just was incredible because looking out and seeing, you know, 50, 60 plus thousand people is a rush. Mm-hmm. Even without the band playing, just, you know.
Yeah.
It's mm-hmm. cool.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, they love their rock and roll over there, man.
Yeah, they never deserted.
Yeah, exactly.
They never deserted.
Exactly.
To this day.
Yeah.
In other words, you can, all throughout the world, our greatest export is rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So what year are we talking about now?
That was 2000 and 2001.
Okay.
And then after that, I, you know, came back to Vegas and kind of picked up where I left off at the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to go back. And then 2003 rolls around, and let me backtrack again. When I was living in LA, I was playing with this female singer. Her name's Sally Steele. Mm-hmm. And she is in Vegas now, and she runs a magazine called Vegas Rocks. Mm-hmm. So Sally, you know, had her solo band, and we were playing, and she said, do you like Stryper? And I said, well, yeah, Robert Sweet's fantastic. Why? And she goes, well, we're gonna go say hi, because I went on a date with him, and we're gonna pop by the studio, and I'll introduce you. And mm-hmm. I'm like, hell, okay. So, and it was when they were recording their Against the Law record. All
right, the one that had the Earth, Wind and Fire album.
Yeah.
Or the Shining Star.
Yeah. Which is a great version, by the way.
I agree.
And
Randy Jackson on bass.
You know, right?
Right.
You know,
you tell I'm a fan.
Yeah. So I met them, and I met Robert and everything. So we were aware of each other. Yeah. So let's fast forward back to Vegas, 2003. I ran into Robert. Just I don't know where, at a restaurant or something. We were talking. He's like, "Hey, you were Sally Steele's drummer in LA, right? And you came to see us at the studio." Like, yeah. He goes, man, we're thinking about doing a reunion tour, and I don't have a drum tech. And I was like, okay. And that was another absolute blast.
Hmm.
And
How was he? As a,
what?
how was he as a person? Do you have any?
Robert was first of all, Robert was absolutely hilarious. I mean, that's all we did was laugh, you know. But great drummer, um, quiet, um, until after show, and on the bus, and then all hell broke loose, and we would laugh, and it just had so much fun. And they're still dear friends to this day.
That's wonderful.
Oz, I don't know if you're aware, Oz Fox is having some health issues,
Yeah,
but he's doing well.
yeah,
He's,
yeah. I saw this a couple months ago.
yeah,
That well, I knew it was a year ago.
yeah. Well, he had a mass removed,
Yeah.
had brain surgery, and thank God he's doing well. I just
Yeah.
talked to him a week ago,
Uh huh.
and he has to have another operation.
Okay.
Like in the next 6 months or whatever, after he completes healing from the first one.
First one, yeah.
But no, he's doing good. He's
Yeah.
so um
So tell us about Eric Singer. I know you're.
Eric. Okay, well, let's rewind back to LA days.
Mm-hmm.
1990, because I got to LA in May of '89. They had a magazine called Music Connection,
Okay.
and everybody puts ads in there and everything. And anyway, it said Eric Singer, drummer for Paul Stanley's solo band and Badlands,
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath, blah blah blah,
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, taking on a limited a number of students.
Okay.
And before I left LA, I saw Paul's solo band with Eric at the Newport,
Uh-huh.
which was the old Agora, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Eric Singer, oh, that's that dude from Paul's. Okay. Oh, well, yes. I called him up. He answered. And, I'm from Columbus. Oh, I'm from Cleveland. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Blah blah blah. But yeah, so I took lessons from him for a short time, and we befriended each other, and we're still friends to this day.
Yeah.
He's a good cat.
Yeah. I. But
But yeah.
So yeah. So he and I. I'm not trying to pick a fight with.
Uh-oh.
But he is my favorite. He's my favorite Kiss drummer.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, love Peter. I love Peter. I love
Absolutely.
Peter. I don't hate Eric. I don't
Yeah.
hate Eric. But
Eric, it's the way I look at it is Peter Criss was right
for
for that era.
1974. Yep. Hmm.
And they needed Eric Carr to come in to do his era, because he really he kicked that band in the butt.
Hmm.
He did.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You ever meet him?
I did one time here in Columbus.
Okay.
He was kind, very nice person. Shame, that he
Yeah.
passed. So
It was cancer that took him, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And actually, when I was in LA, we were at rehearsal when we found out, but I was also a big Queen fan. And he and Freddie Mercury passed on the same day.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So it was like a double whammy to the world there,
So, yeah. So one more question. Your experience with Lynyrd Skynyrd. We're gonna have a part 2, by the way, Kyle.
Gonna have to. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we're just gonna talk about the drum teching.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Michael Carloni is another Cleveland guy.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine had an extra ticket to a Skynyrd show in Vegas, and I met him. We went backstage and everything. And same thing. I gave him my card and I said, dude, if you ever need a drum tech, I would really enjoy working with you.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, you don't think about things like that. And then lo and behold, you fast forward, well, in '05 is when I went out with Quiet Riot.
Okay.
I did that. It was called the Rock Never Stops tour.
Uh-huh.
And it was Cinderella, Rat, Quiet Riot, and Firehouse.
Yeah.
Great lineup.
Yeah.
So I did that tour that summer of '05.
Uh-huh.
And then I was back here in Columbus visiting because I still lived in Vegas at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I was at Starbucks or something getting coffee. Big surprise.
Oh.
Big surprise.
Where is this?
Here in Columbus. I said I was at Starbucks getting coffee. Big surprise.
Yeah, right.
And Michael calls me. Kyle there. Yeah. He goes, "This is Michael Cartellone." And, I'm going through my Rolodex in my head. And I'm like, oh.
Damn Yankee.
And he goes, "Yeah, how you doing, man?" And I go, "Good." And he was like, "Well, do you remember, a few years ago in Vegas, you said if I ever needed a tech?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I need one." And I'm like, "Ooh." So that was a just shy of 5-year relationship deal.
Yeah.
Working relationship. And I'm still friends with Michael.
I never, that's, I think that's probably one of the keys to continued employment. While you're there, you do what you're supposed to do, and be.
That's why everybody loved the Beatles. You just be nice.
Yeah.
Not that different.
Jackass.
Not that different.
I'm saying over and over and over again. Because don't be a jackass. These are things that I'm saying all over and over and over again.
There's no reason, but it does nothing. It gets you nowhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just be nice.
Yes.
Real easy. I mean, are you going to have not so nice experiences? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If you get mad and blow up and act like an idiot, yeah. But you turn that page. And like I said, glass of the cup, always look at it as half full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's how you got the gigs.
Yeah.
And continue.
Yeah. I'm very blessed.
So what do you do? What do you do in between these tours? You go back to Vegas?
Yeah, before, and then I moved home in 2009, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
2008, 2009, because I figured, look, I can do the road work. I can jump on a plane from anywhere. And, I have family still here. My dad is still around, thank God. Yeah. I have friends here and cousins. And I'm going to pull an Ace Frehley. You want to talk to me? You saw that interview, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, Tom Snyder.
Uh-huh. 1979.
Right where I was going.
1979.
I think it was. And Ace declared. That's right. And Ace declared himself as a plumber.
Yeah. I'm not a guitar player. I'm a plumber.
Yeah. And Gene was
Tom Snyder's Curly.
And Gene was the bass player.
Yeah. Trout. I play the trout.
Player. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, we got to get going. As I said, we will get together. We'll have part 2 to this because we're not done.
There's more to tell.
We're clearly not done.
No, I really enjoyed it, and thanks to you, and thanks to Mike
Geezy.
Absolutely.
He is like for those who don't know, we are friends as long as.
We're friends. You can say it. We're friends with him.
Like 50 years. 50 years. I probably know him as longer. He lived in New York before he lived in Columbus.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's like So anyway, we got something that we got to do. Are you ready?
Doing on count of 3, I think.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. No, it's the fist.
Oh.
The fist. 1,
2,
3. We got it. We're not together.
Well, we'll work on this. There's a lapse in the time. We'll blame it on that. All right, your joy. We will do part 2 at some point in the future.
Fantastic.
Alrighty. Thank you, Kyle Kelli.
God bless, bud.
All right. See you then.
Yep.
Bye.